Hey there, I'm Caleb Brown. Welcome back to my kitchen. Super happy to have you here. And today we've got a very interesting one. And full disclosure, this isn't a full recipe. This isn't one of these complex, crazy things that you can show off and flex for your friends. This is more of an experiment for us. What I have here are a few foods. Some Duncan Hines angel food cake, some Kool-Aid, and some Jell-O. Pretty standard, right? However, these are all very old. Totally sealed, but this was made in 1987, the same year that I was brought into this world. And the same with the Kool-Aid being from the early to mid 80s. And then we have our grape Jell-O, which is from the 50s, 1950s. It doesn't even have a barcode on it because it's from the 50s. Little fun fact for you, barcodes came out in I think 1973, but it took a little over a decade for them to really kind of snowball into the world. Anyway, that's how you can kind of date something this old. So this grape Jell-O made in 1950. So we are going to try all of these things out, try to make them. I don't have a ton of confidence in 2/3 of them. I don't think our Jell-O is going to set. And I don't think our angel food cake is gonna rise. I actually think our Kool-Aid is going to be phenomenal. And we might have to kind of hack the Duncan Hines angel food cake a little bit, because one of the packets is kind of a dehydrated egg white. So a 34-year-old dehydrated egg white, which is also what I am. And I just don't think that that's good for, I don't think that's good to put in my body, but I also don't think that's gonna be good for the cake. So we might have to do a little impromptu with some modern eggs to make this kind of stand up to the point that maybe I'll take a bite. We'll find out. But like I said, I think the Kool-Aid man is going to run through this kitchen wall right now and really knock it out of the park. So let's start with kind of the least likely, the Jell-O, to the most likely, the Kool-Aid. And at the end of this whole thing, I am gonna kind of do some close-up zooms of all the packaging, just because it's tremendously interesting to look at packaging from, 30 to almost 70 years ago, just kind of see the differences and kind of in the comparison of modern day. It's pretty fascinating stuff. So that'll be at the end of the video. And I will put chapters down in the description if you want to skip ahead. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this grape Jell-O from the 50s. Okay, and so here we have some very hot water just off a boil and some very cold water. So let's go ahead and open our Jell-O from the 1950s. I was trying to do this nice. And so let's open this up as delicately as we can. It's in this like really nice wax paper. There are some like big chunks here. This is actually falling apart better than I expected. I thought this was going to just be like the hardest rock in the world, and I don't mean Dwayne Johnson. Let's go ahead and put, wow, this is crazy. Let's put our very hot water in there and see what happens. All right, so now we're gonna add our cold water because that dissolved a lot better than expected. I'm shocked. Am I gonna have to eat this jelly? Here's what I'll say though. While there is a light grape smell, it smells mostly, I would say 85% smells really musty. And so while there is a bit of a faint grape aroma, this smells a little bit like walking into your grandmother's basement. And that is not a good thing. So here's the thing. We have Jell-O that I really didn't think was going to dissolve that easily, and it did. Now my next question is whether or not it'll set, and I have some, I'm a little skeptical on that, but it does have that thicker, kind of gelatinous consistency. So I'm a little surprised. I really am. But the true ultimate test is putting this into the fridge, letting it chill, and seeing what happens in a couple of hours. So let's go ahead and do that now, and we'll focus on our cake. Okay, so with our nearly 70-year-old Jell-O in the fridge for a couple of hours, we're gonna move on to our Duncan Hines Traditions Angel Food Cake. And this starts with the packet that I'm least confident about, which is a packet of egg white powder. Let's dive in here and see what we think. So here we have the egg white mixture, which I admit is a lot larger than I expected. I thought it was going to be a much smaller packet. And so admittedly, I'm a little confused on how to follow up if this doesn't work. But let's go ahead and keep following the instructions. Gotta be honest, it smells good. It smells very sweet. There's absolutely sugar in this. It has some funky notes, but nothing looks gross. And I'll tell you, I'm surprised about the consistency of everything. From the Jell-O to the cake mixes, you know, nothing's been too crazy. This cake mix is 34 years old, the Jell-O being nearly 70, and everything's had a normal consistency, which is really interesting. Anyway, into this mixture goes 1 1/3 cup of room temperature water. And then we're actually going to mix this for a decent amount of time. Let's see what we got here. 5 to 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we are 10 minutes later, and this is blowing my mind. These are 34-year-old eggs, and we're getting peaks. This is insane. This has been dehydrated since my birth, and we're getting gorgeous stiff peaks from it. This is blowing. I never in my wildest dreams did I imagine this. Okay. Okay, I mean, this still might give me botulism, but it's performing as it would have in 1987, blowing my mind. So now we're going to mix in B, which B I have a lot of faith in. B I would eat just by the spoon. You know, not saying it's fresh, it's certainly not fresh, but it's really just, it's the flour mixture and things like that. So nothing too dangerous in here. Fold it in here low speed just until it's all kind of, until it all comes together. And then we'll put it into a pan and into a 375 degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes. Longer than I thought. And we mix. Okay, and again, this is just coming together beautifully, just like you would see in a cake that you would buy at the grocery store today. So, very excited to see how this comes together ultimately. It's blowing my mind how great this smells. It smells like almond extract. Either that's in it or I'm having a stroke. If this video gets uploaded, I probably didn't have a stroke. Should I taste it? Really sweet. Like I said, getting a lot of almond extract from this. The only kind of flavor profile that I'm getting that's a little suspicious is sort of like a vinegary flavor almost, which I think that I'm kind of wrapping into this almond extract smell. All right, let's get it into the oven for 30-40 minutes and see what we have at the end. All right, so things are happening. Our Jell-O is still in the fridge, needs a bit more time. Angel Food Cake is in the oven, but doing some weird stuff. It actually smells amazing. It smells like marshmallows, but it's kind of burning very quickly on the top and really rising kind of aggressively which is literally the exact opposite of what I expected, which just goes to show you and myself that I have no idea what I'm doing here. And on that note, let's go ahead and make our 30-something-year-old Tropical Punch Kool-Aid. I was not able, I mean, this isn't a thing that I make. I don't really make drinks. So I couldn't really find a proper vessel. And so this is a vase that I bought at Target. And it's about half the capacity of water and sugar that a normal package needs. So we're just going to use half the packet, half the amount of sugar, and half the amount of water. And this is what we're going to use. So without further ado, let's go ahead and put about half of the Tropical Punch Kool-Aid into this vase. And I really am shocked. I mean, this is totally powder. This is granulated. You would not know this outside of the packaging. You would not know this from a Kool-Aid packet you pulled off the shelves today. And this is about a half a cup of sugar. And into this we will add 1 quart of water, which is 4 cups. Now there are some kind of big, darker chunks. That certainly helped us. Let's go ahead and filter this a little bit just so we have an all liquid consistency. All right, and we're gonna filter anything weird. There are some pieces that just aren't totally dissolving, so use this strainer to get those out. All right, and let's add this back to our vase. This fruit punch Kool-Aid smells amazing. You would have absolutely no idea that it was about 30-something years old. So we're gonna chill it for a little bit, and then once we have our Jell-O and our cake, we'll take a sip. All right, and we are back with everything totally done, or at least as done as it's gonna get. Let's start with our Jell-O. Despite giving this Jell-O hours of time to set, it didn't do that. So the gelatin just not working. It does have a light grape flavor. I mean, sweet, very sweet, hints of grape, kind of stale. Not too much there, and yeah, not obviously not setting into real Jell-O. I even tried to kind of try to save things. Put some ice cubes in there for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then pulled them out and gave it another hour or so in the fridge, which is one way to kind of, you know, rapid set your gelatin. But it didn't do it. It's just kind of a thick consistency, which I think is just the only kind of consistency we're going to get from Jell-O that's close to 70 years old. Now let's move on to the big surprise for me. This angel food cake looks beautiful. Look at that. That's 34-year-old angel food cake. It smells okay. And there is like a staleness to this where it almost smells like cardboard. It smells like almond cardboard. It smells like if someone thought it was a really good idea to make flavored or scented cardboard and they went with almond. That's what you would get. But I'm not going to eat anything more than a very, very, very tiny morsel. However, I will say, I mean, it's pretty good. It's very sweet. I can't believe how pillowy it is. It has so much volume. Never, I mean, I would have bet my life savings on this not even rising. And I mean, look at that. It's a pillow. It's a pillow. Crazy. This is so shocked by this. So shocked by that. And now the one that I've always suspected would bring us joy is Fruit Punch Kool-Aid from the 80s. Smells exactly as I remember it. Literally identical. That you would have no idea that this was 30 something years old. I mean, it's good. It's legit good. It's very, very good Kool-Aid. Refreshing, really nice. Nothing weird about the consistency at all. Literally perfect. That's perfect fruit punch from our friends at Kool-Aid. So there you have it. I know we didn't really make a recipe, but I thought this was interesting. I think it's really fascinating to kind of jump into this time capsule of food and look at how foods from particular eras hold up in modern day times. I think it's really fascinating. I had a blast. I hope you did as well. And if you did, please like, subscribe, comment down below on anything. I mean, obviously, I'm willing to do some stuff that I shouldn't do. So comment down below on some foods you'd like to see me bring back. I'd be happy to make this into more of a regular segment because I had a lot of fun doing it. It's really interesting. Again, thank you so much for hanging out in my kitchen for a little bit. I'm Caleb Brown, and I'll see you next time.